Okay, this is going to be Little Round Top Part 10 here on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook, and we're standing here at the monument to the 20th Maine Volunteers, who were led here by Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain here on July 2nd, 1863. I've already done a video on the actions of the 20th Maine, so I'm going to refer back to that video and repost the video here in between parts 10 and part 11. But this is between the walking trail that comes down to the 20th Maine from Vincent Spur, and on the other side, of course, is Chamberlain Avenue, which we showed you in part 9. This is probably one of the most recognizable regiments that fought here at Gettysburg. Of course, members of Vincent's Brigade, which we looked at the brigade marker earlier on our tour of Little Round Top. This has been the 20th Maine Monument here on our series Little Round Top Part 10 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. Here on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook, and we are just to the left of the 20th Maine Monument, which is over here in the distance. A couple hundred yards to the left is the left flank marker of the 20th Maine, and then to its left over here is the Oates Boulder, which we talked about both of these on the video to the 20th Maine that was dedicated to the 20th Maine. So I'm not going to go over that information. If you want to go back and watch that to see what significance they hold in this secret here, this boulder, please go back and watch that 17-minute video. One thing I didn't point out in the video that I wanted to mention here is there was a second boulder that Colonel Oates remembered nearby the boulder where his brother was killed. And that boulder was once right over here, just before you see Chamberlain Avenue in the distance. It sat here and was probably removed and destroyed by the War Department when they were building Chamberlain Avenue and Sykes Avenue. Most likely Chamberlain Avenue. The roadbed was built in 1902, and that appears around the time that the boulder was destroyed. And that's one of those secrets of the battlefield and the obliteration of the battlefield that happened here in Gettysburg. Of course, again, as in the video, the 20th Maine at Gettysburg, we talk about their left flank, and of course the Oates Boulder, where Oates was killed here on July 2nd. The brother of Oates, rather, was killed here on July 2nd of 1863, and you can go back and watch that video for that information. This has been Little Round Top Part 11 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. Round Top series is going to be on the position of the 20th Maine and a stone wall that marks the position of Company B, 20th Maine, here on July 2nd of 1863. And it's the stone wall we're looking at here. Behind this stone wall, 43 men of Company B of the 20th Maine and a few from the 2nd United States Sharpshooters were behind this wall the whole time that Colonel Chamberlain and the 15th Alabama were fighting, just in the distance up here where you see the 20th Maine Monument, and then where we took our last video over here by the ledge of rocks. Chamberlain had dispatched Company B under a man named Captain Walter Morrill to watch out for a flank maneuver. He was basically being used for his eyes to spot a flanking maneuver and then report it to Colonel Chamberlain. Now the men waited behind this wall, and just at the right moment, after the 20th Maine began its bayonet charge down the hill, while the 15th Alabama was retreating, Company B and the sharpshooters rose up from behind this wall and delivered an unexpected fire, throwing the Southerners into confusion, thinking that they had been surrounded. Of course, the 20th Maine was over here. They have them wheeling in the position in this way, so they actually think there's men on the far end, and then of course behind them, thinking they're surrounded 3 or 4 sides. They have no choice except to retreat through the little gap which we are looking at now. Now the stone wall itself has been here prior to the Battle of Gettysburg and was actually a property martyr. Anything that's beyond this wall at the time of the battle in 1863 was open fields. So Little Round Top is still far overgrown today, not the way it looked in 1863. And of course, there is a marker that is not visited very much. It sits over here and says, position of Company B, 20th Maine Volunteers, Captain Walter G. Morrill, detached as skirmishers attacking the enemy's right flank on the afternoon of July 2nd, 1863. And for the whole story with this action with Company B and how they play in the part with the 20th Maine, go back and watch my video, 20th Maine's fight at Little Round Top. This has been Little Round Top Part 13 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. Little Round Top tours here at the 83rd Pennsylvania Monument. The 83rd Pennsylvania, of course, was in the 3rd Brigade, 1st Division of the 5th Corps. And they fought here on July 2nd, 1863, as they repulsed the attacks of the 4th and the 47th Alabama Regiments here where their monument sits today. Now, they were in a very secure position on the left center of the brigade. In 1861, they were called into service, and they were called the 83rd Pennsylvania. Now, here at Gettysburg, they were out without any field officer, and they were under the command of Captain Orpheus S. Woodward. Of course, Woodward and the 83rd Pennsylvania did their duty here on July 2nd, 1863, as they fought against various Confederate assaults, took prisoners, and captured weapons. Now, this slope of this hill, which is very rocky, as you can see, was a very bad scene here on July 2nd, 1863. One of the captains, named Amos Judson, wrote, "I counted several days afterwards over 40 dead bodies within a 50 feet circumference of where we fought. They laid in every conceivable position amongst the rocks, in that low, swampy ground, crouched behind rocks and about the fire, some laying upon their faces, and some of them stretched out." Again, this slope of Little Round Top was a very deadly area. Their corpses laid out like a funeral, as if they had determined to observe the propriety of attitude, even in the hour and article of death. Now, the monument itself was dedicated on September 11th, 1889, and the main orator of the day was Lieutenant Oliver Wilcox Norton. And for those of you that have heard that name somewhere before, it was Norton that wrote the book, the very popular book, The Attack and Defense of Little Round Top. Now, the Strong Vincent sits here on top of the monument as he stood here in 1863. One difference about the ground today is the wooded area around you was a lot thinner during the battle, as we've seen in our last two videos. But anyway, this has been Little Round Top Part 13, or I'm sorry, Part 14 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. And I'm standing here with Stan Domage. I just met him here on Little Round Top. And Stan is an eyewitness to a very historic event here. And a couple minutes, I want him to tell you all what he experienced when he was here. And he's the only person I've ever met that was here for the dedication of the Eternal Light Peace Memorial by Franklin Delano Roosevelt on July 4th, 1938. Stan, why don't you tell us your reminiscences about that day?
Well, my father, we lived in a little town upstate New York, not far from Binghamton, and he decided I should see Franklin Roosevelt. So we got in the car and we drove down here. Stayed at night before someplace near Harvard. There were no motels in those days. Stayed in guest houses, and mob, and we were staying. If you're staying at the Peace Monument and looking down, we were on the right side of the crowd, in the middle of the crowd, on the right side. I could just about see him and hear him. He had a big microphone set up, and he made this speech and talked a little about the battlefield, a little about Lincoln, and I really remember for what he
How
said.
how was it seeing the veterans with the average age of 96 standing there?
They were, well, most of them was up on the Peace Monument. They were, a lot of them were sitting on those steps on the Peace Monument. I never met any one of them. I never saw the battlefield. My father had nothing to do with the Battle of Gettysburg. He brought me here just to see Roosevelt.
He brought you here to see Roosevelt, and
Yeah,
you were a
I
nine-year-old
was 9 years
boy, a
old. Yeah,
9-year-old boy,
9 years old.
and that was on July 4th,
Right,
1938.
1938. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was 9. And it was fascinating. I became interested in the Civil War in Gettysburg in later that year when that veteran died who lives across the street and ended up buying his books and they were those great Civil War books and I started to read them.
And you've been visiting Gettysburg ever since?
Well, Gettysburg College runs a Civil War Institute. This is this June will be the 33rd, 32nd year, and I've been coming every year since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this past day, uh, Harold Holzer and Frank Williams started a Lincoln Forum held at Gettysburg every year. This was the 12th year I've been to all of them. So I come here every year, at least for those two. And when I was a little bit younger, I used to take customers. I used to give tours around the Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
Like every customer who I kept when I cut back, all of them have been here at least once.
And tell me a little bit about your descendant who fought here
Oh,
on July 2nd,
my
1863.
great grandfather and his brother, who his great uncle, they were living in Baltimore when the war started, and they both decided they were Southerners because they originally came from Charleston, South Carolina, and they started to walk south. They got into Virginia. As you know, Baltimore, you're in Virginia. You could walk in Virginia 2 days, day and a half. And the first regiment they came across was the 4th Alabama. And so they joined. And they fought here, right there. My great uncle was killed in Petersburg. My great grandfather fought. He surrendered at Appomattox.
And of course, here on July 2nd, the 4th Alabama,
Right down the road, right down there. A
just
little
over
ways
here
down.
on Little Round Top, and they
Yeah.
slammed into the 16th Michigan and the 44th New York.
And my great grandmother, who was about 20 years younger than him, lived into 1966. She was 106. And she always said, Pop. She called him Pop. I never met him. He died in 1915, I think he died. But she always said this story about Little Round Top. We should have taken that damn hill. But the goddamn Yankee was too many of them up there.
Okay, well, Stan, and you're also a Korean War veteran,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I want to thank you for your service to our country.
I was in the 7th Division.
7th Division.
32nd Infantry Regiment. First
Excellent.
Battalion. But you never forget that.
And I myself, I served with the 550th Company B, 96 Romeo Military Intelligence
Oh,
in
you
the Army
you're
Reserves.
one of those wise guys.
We went in front of the front line, told you guys what would hit you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, this is Frank again from Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook, and I'm here bringing more history to you today as I'm doing a series of videos on Little Round Top. And I just happened, as I always do, just to rump into the right people at the right time, and I
Well,
bumped
I
into
couldn't
Stan.
understand when I stopped you. I said to you, aren't you cold as hell? You got just a T-shirt on. I'm bundled up like hell here. That's
And
why
it,
I
and it
stopped.
ended up we both from New York, and I just happened to be a little younger than you, so the cold didn't
Well,
bother me as much.
I said, I saw you walking down. I said, that guy's gonna be a moron. He's gonna get cold. He's gonna get a T-shirt on.
So again, Stan, thanks for your reminiscence, and you are the only person I've ever met to this date that is a living eyewitness to the Eternal Light Peace
Yeah, I
Memorial.
was there.
And unfortunately for us, a lot of those men and women that were there that day are no longer with us. So this
Oh,
is a real pleasure, and I'm sure our fans will enjoy your reminiscences as well.
say
So
something else. You know the left flank marker, the 20th Maine.
yes.
That's a new marker. We just put up about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The marker had disappeared years ago. Well, I was here in, Jill is 60, she was 6, so it was about 50 some odd years ago. The old trolley, well, as you know, this ditch here was a trolley, was dug out to put a trolley in.
Yeah.
It went around, okay. I saw that thing laying on the bank. That was Yeah, well, about 55, 54 years ago. And I know Scott Hartwick very well. He's one of the historians here. So I mentioned to him one time. I said, I know I saw the mark was just laying on the bank. They were laying down like that. So I took him out and showed him where I saw it. He said, good. I'm having one made. We'll go put one up there. But they didn't put it quite in the same place. It actually was about maybe 15 feet further out than where
Okay.
I saw it. But
15 feet further to the
yeah, it's
left.
a little further away.
Well, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, again, Stan, thanks for your reminiscence, and I appreciate your service to our country,
Well, I
and
thank you.
and I hope you have a blessed life and enjoy the rest of your
Hey,
week
I'm
here.
85. What the hell you want? Yeah,
Take
how much longer I'm going to be around?
all right.